right, what's up everybody? Hope you all are doing well. We'll get started here in just a moment. We're on the corner of 39th Street and 9th Avenue tonight. And it is Wednesday, already the middle of the week. Or Thursday, what am I saying? It's already a Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. We'll go ahead and get started. What I think we want to do tonight, everyone, I want to head over to the Hudson Yards. We haven't been to the Hudson Yards in quite a long time on the broadcast. Now, I did film a standalone walking tour of the Hudson Yards yesterday, but I kind of want to go there on the live stream. I love the Hudson Yards, but it is windy. However, it's not that cold out tonight, or at least it's not as cold as last night. So we'll check out some of the new office towers over there. We'll check out the shops at Hudson Yards, and we'll take it from there. But I see Solo 401. What's going on? Hopefully you're well. DC 322, Alan Michelle Frink. Good to see you. Top Cat. Unij 23, Paul K. Mr. Ruiz is here. Sally, Joyful One, Tatted T. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Big Spark, what's going on? Mike G. Yeah, so, the related group is the development company that is leading up Hudson Yards. That is led up by CEO Steve Ross. Not to be confused with Vornado's Steve Roth. And there is going to be phase 2 of Hudson Yards coming as well. I like to describe Hudson Yards as a city within a city. So we'll check that out tonight. But first, as always, we'll do the quick audio and visual check. So if you guys can hear us, and if we're streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and leave a thumbs up in the chat. That way I know all is good, and we can go ahead and get started here as we begin our walk down from pretty much the Port Authority bus terminal. We're on the very back end of the Port Authority, all the way down to Hudson Yards. We'll be walking past 50 Hudson Yards, which is the new headquarters of BlackRock. We're also going to see a lot of new development being built. Pretty much the whole west side of Manhattan is getting built up. So, hey, New England Crypto, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Now, I think intraday today, we had Bitcoin rally to just a hair over $105,000. So Bitcoin is holding up pretty well. Gold is having a nice rally as well. And Alphabet, I think, a few cents away from a new all-time record high. So lots of strength in the market. We'll talk about it. But it looks like we're good to go. So good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks in Wall Street. It is nearly the last day of January, and we are ready for February. Hopefully it'll bring a lot warmer weather to New York City, but somehow I doubt it. But at least the winter is almost over. Just as we were doing the live stream last night, quite literally as we were starting the stream, we had some breaking news of just a tragic, really tragic American Airlines collision in DC with a Black Hawk helicopter. And now that we know that there were no survivors, which is just unbelievable, and just really sad. I think 67 lives were lost, so we're all, praying for everybody affected. It was just a horrible, terrible tragedy that's Just really, really sad. Something like that hasn't happened in the United States in quite some time. And it seems like, just a terrible freak accident. But lately there's been a lot of, freak accidents around the world involving aircraft. We had the Korean crash on Jeju Island, which killed every single person on board except 3 people. 181 people died in the plane crash in South Korea on Jeju Island. And now we have this here in the United States, which has claimed the lives of 67 people. So it's really, really sad, really tragic. And my heart goes out to everybody who was affected by this. It was really just terrible news to get last night. Really, really terrible news. So we'll wait for the light here, and then we'll continue to walk down to the Hudson Yards. On the market front, market remains pretty resilient and pretty strong. Now, yesterday, as you know, we had some major tech companies reporting earnings. We had Meta, we had Tesla, and we had Microsoft showing strength. We talked about some of the commentary from the major CEOs, including Zuckerberg at Meta, and he seems to be very, very optimistic for the future on American innovation as it relates to big tech and AI. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get this walk started once this light turns red. But you can see a little bit of the top of the New Yorker Hotel there. Not sure if you can see it. You can also see the top of One Penn. But if I turn the camera to the north, that is the New York Times building there. All right, let's see who we got. We'll do a little jaywalk to start the stream. DC322, thanks for joining. Trinidad is here. Says, hey Tom, I'm in Brooklyn from Trinidad. Wow. Leaving on Saturday because it's too cold. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed your trip to Brooklyn. Happy to hear that. Hopefully you had a wonderful trip. New England Crypto is here. Sergio, greetings from Colombia. Welcome to all of our Colombian viewers. SW, or SY I should say. Sue Rollins, Jamie, DC322, Metal is here. Solo 401, Lori C. Now you can see a little bit of the Hudson Yards development here. If you look at the building just off to the left with that triangular looking thing sticking out, that's the Edge, which is one of the city's newest observation decks. I've actually never been there. I'm trying to remember the last time I've been to an observation deck in New York City. I think it might have been the Empire State Building. But I've been to the top of the Rock. I've been to the top of the Empire State Building, but I have yet to go to the Edge or One Vanderbilt or the top of the One World Trade Center. So those are kind of the newest 3 that I've yet to go to. I see Professor Dario here. Good to see you from Argentina. Now, one thing I'd like to note as we walk down 9th Avenue here, I want you to notice a lot of the buildings across the street here. This is pretty much what the entire neighborhood looked like. A lot of low-rise, a lot of pre-war, brick and mortar buildings with the fire escapes, and going all the way up into Hell's Kitchen. Now, in the mix, you can kind of see a lot of the luxury buildings being trickled in over here, especially all the way over on the west side by the Hudson River. And that kind of gives you a big idea of just how much this neighborhood has changed. I mean, look when I point the camera towards Hudson Yards. It's like a glaring juxtaposition. Much of this neighborhood used to be like a lot of auto body shops and a lot of industry. Now, when I was a freshman in college, this was back, was it 2013 or 2014? I forget. Either one of those dates, a million years ago. I actually used to walk to school. I would get off the train right over here at Penn Station and head over to 10th Avenue, and I would go to the McDonald's. It was like one of the only drive-through McDonald's in the city, and that has obviously now been taken down. And I think there's an office building in part of the Hudson Yards development where that sat. But all up and down 10th Avenue, it was just like heavy industry, parking lots, parking garages. So it's kind of cool to see everything change. It kind of looked like just like this across the street. So anyway, now we're approaching 34th Street, and well, you're gonna see two things. Interestingly, this is B&H. This is one of my favorite electronics stores in the city. Pretty much all the gear and equipment I purchased to do this show, I purchased from here. It's right on the corner of 9th Avenue and 34th, the B&H. And check out this view here. This is one of my favorite views of the Empire State Building. It's like a picture-perfect, dead-centered view of the Empire right here on 34th. Now, obviously, Empire State Building is on 5th Avenue, but it kind of sticks out a little bit north, so we have those good views. And you got the New Yorker Hotel. I think the views of the Empire State Building get better the further west you go, in my view. I Want to Be a GMO says they have reasonable prices in person because online they are the worst. I think they're pretty reasonable. They just have the best customer service by far, and they have the best technology. If you have ever been inside this B&H store, it's so technologically advanced. They have like the best inventory system I've ever seen in a physical store. So I usually order online and pick up in the store. And if you look up, like at the ceiling of the store, it's a system of like conveyor belts and pulleys. And your products essentially get sent on a conveyor belt through the store, and you can come right to the counter and pick it up and pay for it. It's very cool. So prices are decent, but I'm willing to pay a little bit more money for really, really good service. And B&H, in my opinion, right, I think has the best service by far. The Joyful One says, agreed, Tom, B&H is top of the line. I wish it was open right now. I'd bring you guys in. It's kind of a cool experience going inside B&H. If you need like an office setup, if you do a lot of remote work from home, and you're taking a lot of Zoom calls, conference calls, they have just like the best audio equipment set up. Like they have the best, I mean, it's very, very cool. There's probably some, there's probably some videos and photos online on like the Google reviews page, but it's an awesome setup here. They have like everything you would need to build out like a really, really nice studio at home. Let me see if I could show you a little bit through the glass here. But if you look up at the ceiling, it may look like the ceiling is made of metal. Those are actually the tracks and the like 3PL logistics systems where like the boxes and the products zoom around on the ceiling and get dropped off. It's like very, very cool. It's like very efficient. Anyway, it's right here on the corner of 33rd Street and 9th. And this is the Moynihan Train Hall. Right here. You can actually see a little piece of Madison Square Garden right there. Bay Poodle, what's going on? Good to see you. Someone says, wow, I went there a couple times. I never noticed that. Yeah, next time you're in there, look up and you'll see the conveyor belt system. It's pretty cool. Every time I've ordered something online, not to make this an advertisement for B&H tonight, but every time I've ordered something online for in-store pickup, it's ready in a matter of maybe, an hour or two. So very, very convenient. So anyway, quick rundown on this building. This is the Moynihan Train Hall. You have the new Long Island Railroad tracks. You also have the Amtrak train, which has arguably the best Amtrak lounge in the country. It's right here in the Moynihan Train Hall. I would like you or I would like to bring you inside Moynihan, but for whatever reason, there's no internet service, like zero. I don't know what's up with that. It's one of the most trafficked train stations in the city, and there's virtually no service in here. So maybe one day when they improve the cell reception, I'll bring you inside, but you just have to take my word for it that it's really nice in there. Everything's new, it's modern, there's restaurants. If you watch the second to last video that I uploaded, the standalone videos, I gave a tour of the inside of Moynihan, specifically on the ground level where they have the food courts. So there's a really nice bar. They have a Jacob's Pickle, which is a good restaurant. The original location is on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. They have a new ramen place down there. It's pretty cool. In any event, it brings you off right here. Now this is really the cusp of the Hudson Yards. Right, once you pass 1 Manhattan West and 2 Manhattan West, I believe Blackstone owns these two buildings or has an ownership and controls it. These are obviously new Class A office towers here. The quantitative hedge fund D.E. Shaw has now moved their headquarters from 1166 Avenue of the Americas right here at 2 Manhattan West. So we'll kind of go explore these two buildings, and then we'll go all the way by the Vessel and the Shed. And if we have enough time, I'll take you guys on top of the brand new Moynihan Connector Bridge, which is about a $50 million investment that the state of New York made into making a walking connector from the Whole Foods, looping all the way around to the High Line and connecting you to the Vessel. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Peter's here. What's going on? I see Brad's brain. Brad, pretty good action in Google today. Alphabet's trading right near new all-time record highs. And we also had a big rally day in Bitcoin. Now, you may notice it's getting windy now. The only downside about the Hudson Yards is it's windier than holy hell here. I don't know why, but it is extremely windy. But just look at how different, right? You can really, really tell the difference between a Class A office tower. I mean, look at how tall and dramatic those ceiling heights are. It's incredible here. And this is the new New York City headquarters of D.E. Shaw. Yeah, Brad's brain, Google and Robinhood, new highs today. You were right. Okay, this is the main front entrance of 2 Manhattan West. And then behind the receptionist, you can see D.E. Shaw & Co. Now, my buddy, who was a co-owner in Mel's, really, really good restaurant, which unfortunately is slated to close now, which kind of sucks. His new gig is he is the head chef for D.E. Shaw. So it's pretty cool. So they have a really nice kitchen, full dining hall, and what I hear is that everybody who works at D.E. Shaw, they have like kind of like an iPad on their desk, and if they want something at any time, they just punch it in, and then you have a really, really reputable chef who's worked at a Michelin star restaurant, 2 Michelin star restaurants, will bring you food and really whatever you want. It's pretty cool. Oh, that's right. Somebody's mentioning Kava, ticker symbol CAVA. Now, that stock, it's completed its stage 1 ascent out of a stage 1 base breakout, and I think you're going to enter into the stage 2 ascent right now. This was a year ago. I started to initiate coverage on that stock, and I think since we started initiating coverage on it, the stock's up almost 200%, or a little over 200%. Kava is, I'm not sure, we have a lot of new viewers here, but it's kind of like a Mediterranean-style Chipotle, if you will. Anyone here is a big fan of Kava or has been there? Anything like that? Jack Jackson, cheers. Doc 7, what's going on? This is Blackstone. Bought 49% of one. And what is the other? Like Brookfield Properties, I believe. All right. So this is kind of the common area, the outside. So if you work at the Hudson Yards, I mean, look at everything you have at your disposal. You can get some food, come out, eat, and you have these amazing views of the Empire State Building. Bay Poodle says Kava is big here on the West Coast. Yeah, the way I'm kind of modeling the stock is after Chipotle, right, which is probably the best QSR, fast casual business out there, I would say. Now, to kind of quickly review the criteria on those type of restaurants or those type of business models, I say it really has to have three things. Number one, it has to have a simple menu. That's number one. Number two, it has to have the scalability, right? So you can get pricing power. Chipotle has the pricing power. And three, you have to have the convenience and the size. So Chipotle hits all three of those metrics. When Starbucks fired their CEO and brought on the ex-CEO of Chipotle, what I was most encouraged about is he said the same exact thing that we were talking about on the stream. He's like, look, if you walk into a Starbucks, it's not inviting anymore. You know, not to go off on a tangent, but if you read any of Howard Schultz's books, his whole premise with Starbucks is not really, he was never aiming to have the best coffee. If you read his books, he was aiming to create the third place, right? He says people go home, people go to work, and he wants to create that third place where people can, you know, congregate with friends, with family, with coworkers, you know, have business meetings, go out on first dates, things like that. And Starbucks has really lost its way in that, right? Particularly in big cities, many of which, you know, these Starbucks have turned into homeless encampments, which has created a very dangerous environment for the employees. That's why you've actually seen Starbucks employees try to unionize and say, hey, you know, I was hired to be a barista to serve coffee and interact with customers. I was not hired to be a mental counselor, right? I was not hired to, you know, be a security guard, okay, or clean up heroin needles in the bathroom. So a lot of Starbucks employees have actually tried to unionize now for better working conditions, for better pay, to overcompensate for those degraded working conditions. So the new CEO of Starbucks, I really believe, is going to turn the whole ship around. He's going to address those employee concerns, which I think are very valid concerns. I don't think an employee should have the obligation to be burdened with stuff that is outside of their job description, particularly as it comes to things that are going to be endangering their health, like what we just discussed. But more specifically, the consolidation and getting very, very simplistic on the menu. So kind of to bring the conversation full circle, that's what has been so successful with Chipotle, and I think that's why Kava has been so successful. They have the scalability, they have the simplicity of the menu, and they have the pricing power. Okay, so this is the outdoor dining space at the Whole Foods. But what you see over there, what we just passed, which I'll kind of explain in a minute, is the new Moynihan connector bridge. It's a $50 million connector bridge. If I stand over here, you can kind of get a better glimpse of what I'm talking about. So over here across the street is the High Line. You guys see that? But this is a really, really nice addition. Right here, that is the connector bridge. So you really never have to leave the Hudson Yards development. So if, let's say you work at Hudson Yards, 50 Hudson Yards or the like, which you see down here, you don't have to deal with any of this crazy traffic. You can just go up to the High Line and take a nice walk over the connector bridge right to the Whole Foods. It's actually a wooden connector bridge too. It's pretty cool. And this is a view, everybody, looking up towards the shops at Hudson Yards, which we're going to explore in a minute. This building just on the corner where you see all the cars lined up, that's 50 Hudson Yards. That's the new headquarters of BlackRock. And BlackRock this year actually just signed a larger lease in the building. They've actually expanded their square footage. As I point the camera to the sky, that little triangular thing sticking out of that building, that is the Edge observation deck, which is pretty cool. Hey, Brian, what's going on? I see Cosmo's scary. Cosmo says that's his favorite Whole Foods in Manhattan. It's definitely the cleanest, I think. I really like it too. Let's see what it says here, everyone. So it's open to the public from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. Let's check this out. This is kind of like an interactive map here. Welcome to Manhattan West. Some of the shops, some of the restaurants. There's a good coffee shop over here too. The interior is quite small, but I think it's very good coffee. It's Black Fox Coffee. So if you're in the Hudson Yards, Manhattan West kind of neighborhood or area, I would check that out. Maybe write that one down. Here's the Whole Foods. They're getting ready to close, but I'll just give you a quick peek at it. So this is like all the prepared food over here. Some of the bakery stuff. But this is kind of like a wine bar. They have a coffee bar in the back. It's a really, I mean, to Cosmo's point, it's a really nice Whole Foods. All right, let's head back out. Hey, Meta 2 Physical says hello from Durham, North Carolina. What's going on, everybody? From the Carolinas. Okay. We can't walk over. So it's closed. It's all right. It is quite unique, though, isn't it? This is the brand new Moynihan Extension Bridge. It's made entirely out of wood. I think it's pretty unique. Let's see what time it closes. Does it say? Let's see. 8 p.m. Really? You close this extension bridge at 8 p.m.? 8 p.m. people are just getting started here in New York. I think they should open it a little bit later. Maybe in the summer they open it later. Old Tape Archives says, Tom, have you heard about 311 Wacker in Chicago? Next to Sears Willis Tower, 80% vacant, 65-story Class B office building built in 1990 that some say could be demolished, obsolete for offices. I haven't heard about that one. I'm not too well read up on Chicago real estate market. But I know that Ken Griffin fire sold one of his penthouse apartments for like 50% discount. I think there was another comment here in the chat, Jean Paul, that said Related is partnering with Citadel to build their new tower right off of Brickell Avenue. That's true. Now the renderings there are really impressive. That's a really, really, really impressive building. If you guys want to take a look at it, you can check out some of the Google images of the building. Just type in Citadel Securities Miami. Beautiful place. Now, they did can the project of One Brickell City Center, which is a little bit disappointing, but I get it. So there will be no One Brickell City Center. However, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, so the last time I was in Miami, I was checking out the site of One Bayfront Plaza, which is roughly adjacent to the 200 Southeast Financial Center. And right now there's that big, ratty, kind of nasty parking garage. But when I was there were working crews, construction, and demolition going on that parking garage. So I think there's going to be construction going up there, which is going to be pretty cool, because the last time I heard they're going to make a connector bridge to the Metro Mover. So we'll see. There's a lot of projects going on in Miami, but I think they're overbuilding a little bit. But that's normal. It's usually what happens in a cycle. Michael M says, I remember Hudson Yard back in the early 2000s. It was really something else. Yeah, I mean, do you remember that drive-through McDonald's over here? I used to go there all the time and get like a biscuit before one of my 8 a.m. classes. You know, the west side of Manhattan was all this stuff. You know, low-rise, pre-war buildings, a lot of auto body shops, mechanics, storage facilities, a lot of industry. Also a lot of horse stables, too. If it's not too windy, I'll take you guys past some of the... I think there's 2 last standing horse stables, which are pretty cool to check out. Yeah, Chris says San Francisco remains stuck at 30% vacancy. I think San Francisco right now on the residential side is a buy. There's a lot of great discounts on some really, really great residential properties in San Francisco. So if anybody's working in San Francisco and you're thinking, you know, that you were going to purchase a place, I think it's a buyer's market in San Francisco right now. I think you can get some really, really good properties at discounts. Oops, looks like we just missed the light. That's all right. We'll make a quick detour here. So we're going to cross to the northernmost side of 33rd Street, West 33rd Street here. And here is a new office building that's a part of the Hudson Yards. It is 50 Hudson Yards. And you can see the big BlackRock sign right there. This is the new headquarters. So BlackRock moved from the east side of Manhattan to this beautiful new building here at the Hudson Yards, and they've actually just expanded their square footage footprint for 2025. It's really nice. It's actually not too windy tonight, so maybe we'll do a quick walk around. Noodles says, Tom, residential real estate prices are lowering a bit in New York City. It really depends. It really, really depends. What I'm seeing in the New York City real estate market right now is there's not a lot of good product on the market, right? And buyers have a specific taste, at least the buyers that I'm working with. There's a lot of stuff on the market that is a lot of old product and that needs a lot of work. A lot of co-ops are on the market that need a lot of work, and they have very, very high maintenance costs, which means if you get the valuation, down, if you get the seller to negotiate on, the valuation, just the building may be very, very old, and sometimes these common charges could be like $5,000, depending on what building, if it's an older building. So if it's good product, if you have a really, really good product and you price it right, there could be bidding wars for that, right? We've had some listings last year where it sat on the market for a year and we have to just try to force it down someone's throat and market the hell out of it. We have had other product where we have 17 offers on the property and people writing, entire, diatribes about their families, and we're moving here from abroad and this property really speaks to us. We want to, keep it in the family forever, la da 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 da. It just really depends. There's, if it's good product, new building, relatively new, maintenance is low, then that product is going to move. But generally speaking, overall, the market has softened quite a bit. There's just not a lot of transactions being done. More broadly speaking, 2024 was the worst year for real estate transactions on the residential side since I think 1990. So there's just not a lot of transactions being done right now. Anyway, I just really kind of want to make the point of, pay close attention to a lot of these new buildings here, right? These are what you call Class A office towers. You notice you have a lot of nice retail, lots of fancy restaurants. If I point the camera a little bit higher up in the building, you could see those, really tall ceiling heights. What you're looking at now is the New York City headquarters for the pharmaceutical company Pfizer. So Pfizer is right next to BlackRock. And I know I've told this story a few times, but I think it's appropriate to tell it again because we do have some new people here. But Pfizer used to have their New York City headquarters just off to the right of the Chrysler Building on 42nd Street. Okay? It used to take up over half of a city block. Now, Pfizer has since vacated that office space, and they have moved right here to the Hudson Yards. Now, the reason why they did that is to obviously move into newer, brighter, and better office space for their employees, but their old office is now going to be converted into residential apartments. And the Pfizer project is going to be the largest office to residential conversion project, not only in the city's history, but in the history of the United States of America. Now, upon completion, the Pfizer conversion will have dethroned Harry Macalow's One Wall Street project as the largest office to condominium conversion in the city. For those of you who don't know, Harry Macalow very famously responsible for 432 Park Avenue, which is the Billionaires Row building, but currently holds the record for the largest office to residential conversion. So, just thought that would be potentially helpful for you to know. Now, something else cool about the Hudson Yards development. You see this train station over here? This is the new 7 train station. Now, to really make the Hudson Yards development work, so to speak, the MTA really needed to expand train service out here because the closest train before the 7 train extension was right at 34th Street, Penn Station, which is pretty long hike, right? So the MTA has expanded subway service, and maybe we'll go in here, might as well. I'll see if the internet works as we go down into the train station. But this is the 7 train. So the last stop on the 7 train in Queens is Flushing Main Street. So if you want to go to a Mets game, you take the 7 train, you get off at Met Willets Point. So that's kind of the last stop in Queens, 7 train, Flushing. This is the last stop here in Manhattan, Hudson Yards. We'll go over by the stairs just to show you how kind of modern and new this is. This looks completely different from any other subway station in Manhattan. I think they did a really good job on it. It's clean, it's new, it's modern, and if you work at 50 Hudson Yards at Black Rock, for example, you just get right off the train, you walk through those doors, and you're at work. So it's super, super convenient. Hey, Leslie is here. Good to see you. Romero is here. I see Patrick, New York. Welcome to the Hudson Yards, everybody. And again, that's Pfizer in this building here. I mean, what do you think? I'm extremely, extremely impressed with the Hudson Yards development. I just wish it was a little bit less windy over here, but it's really quite nice. If you're enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams every single night starting at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this is definitely a notable project that we're staring at right now. This big glass building, that's the Jacob Javits Center. Has anyone ever been to the New York Auto Show? Or what's another big event that they hold here? Comic-Con? Anyone ever been to Comic-Con? This is where they host all of those major events. Right here at the Javits Center. Now, an interesting story about the Javits Center, if you want to go all the way back in New York City's history, it'll take us to Columbus Circle. Now, Columbus Circle, before Related built the Time Warner Centers, which is now known as the Deutsche Bank Towers, after Deutsche Bank vacated their office building on Wall Street at 60 Wall. They've since taken over the Time Warner Center. That used to be a Manhattan Convention Center. And it was a really ugly looking building. You could Google it, you could look it up. It was right there at Columbus Circle. And once the Jacob Javits Center was built, it kind of put that Manhattan Convention Center out of business. So the neighborhood fell into disrepair. It became a site for crime, pretty much like a homeless encampment. And right outside of the broken down convention center at Columbus Circle, there was a bus stop that was utilized to take family members to go see their loved ones in prison in upstate New York. Which was a real bummer because if you think about Columbus Circle now, you think about affluence, right? You think about, very high rent district, Central Park South, right at Central Park. So when Related bought that site and demolished the convention center to build the Time Warner Center, many, many people thought they were making a big mistake. They thought that nobody would want to live or work in a building that resembles the World Trade Centers after 9/11. However, those people were proven wrong because the building was a massive, massive success. It had tenants like the Mandarin Oriental, so that really, really famous hotel chain, which is still in there. It has the shops at Columbus Circle right now, and it also has a Whole Foods as one of the biggest anchor tenants down there. So it was a smashing, smashing success. It totally revitalized the neighborhood and made way for the Zeckendorf building, which is the 15 Central Park West, to go up, which sparked Billionaires Row on 57th Street. So it was like that one big project, which was the Time Warner Center at the time, kind of paved way and gave the green light for 15 Central Park West. The Robert A.M. Stern building, which was constructed with 18,000 individual pieces of limestone that were cut from the same exact quarry used to construct the Empire State Building. So that's kind of how that whole neighborhood got revitalized. And you could really attribute it to the success of the Jacob Javits Center. So even though this is so far away from what we're talking about, good thing Jacob Javits Center kind of deemed the Manhattan Convention Center obsolete. Hey, Lori is here. Good to see you. Says my 75-inch TV loves your video quality. Wow, the Hudson Yards must look amazing on a 75-inch TV. JC is here. I'm sure you're happy about the recent rally in Bitcoin we've been having, as well as New England crypto. You know, this is a good coffee shop here too. I think this is an Australian company. I've had coffee and brunch here a few times. Anybody here this place, Bluestone Lane? Any Australians here? This is pretty good. And the interior is quite nice too. Hudson Yards is definitely a lot better in the spring and in the summer, that's for sure, but DC322, what's going on? Since the boat show is there. Very cool. And now we're looking at the vessel. In other hopeful news, and in some good news here in New York City, after many years of being closed down, tourists and visitors of all kinds will now be able to go up here again and visit the vessel. It was closed down for a while, but now it is back open. So if you're planning a trip to New York City, might I suggest taking a tour and a walk through the vessel. The only time I was up in the vessel was a week before it closed. And it was very, very cold and windy. Okay, moving on our Hudson Yards tour. I didn't really plan this stream to be an in-depth, all-inclusive Hudson Yards tour, but I find that the viewer may find it enjoyable, right? We very seldom come here. This is the Equinox Hotel. So Equinox, the gym, they have a branded hotel. It's very, very expensive. It is a 5-star hotel. And you have a really nice pool on the roof. And you also have really good views. The hotel rooms are quite interesting too. As you can imagine, it focuses around fitness, health and wellness. But room rates can go from $900 per night all the way up to, I think, about $3,000 a night for some of the suites. John G., thanks for joining us. Now, additionally, another thing you may have noticed about Hudson Yards is just the cleanliness. Being that it's so new and it's kind of so far away over to the west side from the rest of the city, it is extremely clean. It kind of reminds me of the cleanliness when we do our walking tours in Brickell and in Miami, downtown Miami. You know, very, very seldom will you see any, kind of garbage or anything on the floor. It's extremely, extremely clean. And it's very meticulously landscaped too. Someone's asking what the stairs are called. It's called the Vessel. All right, let's move on to the shops at Hudson Yards, which is going to be right in front of us. Now, I would like to make a restaurant recommendation for the group. I will forewarn, it's a little bit pricey. I don't go there all the time, maybe like once a year during the holidays. But this place is awesome. So, right here, I'll just kind of point on the camera now. Right above the H&M logo, that is the dining room for a steakhouse called Queen's Yard. And the food's pretty good, has pretty good steak, but the views from the dining room are incredible. It's really, really unique. So I would suggest maybe booking a dinner reservation with perhaps a table that sits right at the window during sunset, because you get really good views of the vessel, but you also get really good views overlooking the Hudson River too. So once again, it's called Queen's Yard. Hey, Lisa C, what's going on? Hang with Mark Mom says, hey Tom and chat, was busy doing laundry but heard you mention the Zeckendorf Towers a few minutes back. Great history, by the way. Had friends that worked in that building back in the 90s. Hang with Mark Mom, good to see you. Hope you and your family are well. As we take a little stroll through Hudson Yards. Man, the vessel's pretty cool actually, standing right under it. You know what, let's take a quick look at New Jersey. Might as well. So what you're going to see now is the West Side Yard, which is the train yard where the Long Island Railroad trains get serviced and maintained after they pull into Penn Station. So if you've ever taken the Long Island Railroad, chances are when you're pulling into Penn, they'll announce that it's the last stop on the train. This train is going to the yard facilities. Well, the yard facilities is right here. I think our microphone just went dead, so the audio may be a little bit choppy for the rest of the stream, but that's okay because the battery doesn't really last long when it's cold out. So we'll just have to make do with what we got. So here's the yard facilities. I'm not sure if you could really make it out on camera, but do you guys see all those Long Island Railroad trains here? You can see the blinking lights. Then you can see the Hudson River, and then you see New Jersey. So quite literally, Hudson Yards is built on stilts above all these train tracks, which is crazy to think about, but it's true. So before any of these crazy super tall buildings were built, you know, super modern metropolis that we're looking at right now, this was all train tracks. We'll talk about this building in a minute. Hey Shane, thank you so much. Can you zoom up Edgewater, New Jersey? Thanks for your donation. Yeah, New Jersey's all the way across the river. This building's in the way, but if this building was not in the way, you could see Hoboken, New Jersey as well. So this is a really cool building here. This is called The Shed. And during the summer, this building can contract all the way in and roll all the way out. Now, during the winter months, they usually have the building out, mainly because they have events inside because it's so cold. But oftentimes, you know, during the summer, when it's nice out, they'll have events outside. You can kind of see where the building fits in. So it'll go all the way and fit right in here. Now, as we walk around, I'll show you the wheels that it sits on. But it is a very, very cool and unique building, which also has luxury apartments with amazing views of the city. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Again, we usually do these streams starting at 8:45 p.m. Shane says, can we zoom up to Hoboken, New Jersey skyline? Thank you so much for the very nice donation. Yeah, I'll try to get you to the Hoboken, New Jersey skyline. I'm going to have to walk a little bit further south, but we will definitely do that. What's up? Says, hey Tom, long time. Greetings from El Salvador. What's going on? Big fan of Bukele. PG80 says, hey Tom, the vessel. That's next on my stop when I visit. I would highly recommend it. I've been up here once about a few weeks before they closed it down. It's very unique, and you can see the Equinox swimming pool from the top. Well, the shops are closed, but it's at 20 Hudson Yards right here. And I would say 20 Hudson Yards probably arguably has one of the best holiday displays in the city, particularly in the lobby. Luke says hello from Sunny Isles. You can keep the cold weather in New York. Luke, definitely jealous. I am a big fan of Sunny Isles Beach. I live not too far away from Sunny Isles, so Sunny Isles is great. And I hear we're supposed to get a lot warmer in Miami. We're supposed to get 90-degree temperatures soon. So hopefully I'll be down there soon. But my place is rented out for the entire snowbird season, so I may be there a little bit later. Anyway, these are the wheels that the building sits on. This is the shed. And now that we have a closer look, you could even kind of see the tracks that the building is on. Isn't that crazy? So it will roll all the way back on the tracks. And this will be all exposed, and they have events and other cool stuff during the summer. I'm going to try to kind of stalk this building out in the summer and be here when the building is moving so I can get it on camera and upload it, but it's really cool. Give you one more look at the wheels. Hey, what's up, Steve Cruz? Good to see you. So if you walk all the way down, this is the main entrance to New York City's High Line. So if you remember from the very beginning of the broadcast, we were talking about that $50 million addition called the Moynihan Connector Bridge. It'll connect you all the way around to here. So let's say if you work in one of these office towers, right? You have Boston Consulting, you have L'Oreal, you have SAP, major enterprise software company. You never have to leave the Hudson Yards and cross the street and deal with all the cars. You just go right through the High Line and you bang this left and you go all the way across the connector bridge to the Whole Foods. Pretty cool. Leslie says, aren't there pickleball courts right there too? There are, but they're on the other side. In the summer, they used to have a mini pickleball court set up right here. Shane, thank you so much for your $2 donation. Says, can we see the H&M building from here? I don't think We may be able to see the H&M building from here, to be quite honest. But I will try to get you a view of it. Thank you very much for your donation. Let me catch up on some of the chats. Hey, Bree Grahams, good to see you. Thanks so much. Brad's brain. Isn't your team in the Super Bowl again? The Kansas City Chiefs? I didn't even know the Super Bowl was close, but I guess the Super Bowl is close. So who's in it now? Kansas City Chiefs and what other team? Hey, Myra King, what's going on? Welcome to the Hudson Yards. Yeah, Hudson Yards is one of my favorite places in the city. It's awesome. Minus the wind. It's actually not a windy day tonight, but yesterday it was crazy. Here they have a display for the Lunar New Year, the Year of the Snake. Very cool. So we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think, I don't really have any skin in the game in this Super Bowl. So if I had to pick a winner, who should I root for in the Super Bowl? I want to say Eagles, mainly because they're the closest to New York. You know, Philly and New York, pretty close. Tom Jr. says nobody except Taylor Swift. Ah, that's right. Yeah, the Travis Kelce is on the Chiefs. Although I do really like the quarterback of the Chiefs as well. Patrick Mahomes. I always like to root either for the underdog or the young guys. You know, the young up-and-comers. Not to say that I don't know anything about football, but Patrick Mahomes really came on the scene. Young guy, hard worker. So I respect that. I think that sets a good example. So maybe I'll go Kansas City Chiefs. There was another football player, super young guy, that came on the scene and killed it. Now, totally off topic about what we're talking about. But guys, what the heck is going on with all of these targeted robberies of these NFL players, particularly like the quarterbacks and stuff? I think there has to be some corruption internally on the teams, whether it's the managers, whether it's, you know, something that's given these people intel about their properties, because it's freaking crazy. I mean, if I was a multi-millionaire NFL quarterback, I would definitely have armed security at my house. I mean, these NFL players, particularly the quarterbacks, I mean, they're making, what, $50 million a year? More, probably? I mean, I'm going to cough up the money for armed security at my house. It's crazy. Yeah, Sue Roll. Oh, that's what I was going to say, Sue. You're right. It says they caught 4 guys who did Burrow's plays. Joe Burrow is the other guy that I like. Yeah, Tom Chase Jr. says they're making the team pay. Maybe build it in your contract, right? Dimitri says when you're a famous NFL player, people will learn also another reason why maybe purchasing in a condo building may be the way to go if you're like a very high profile professional athlete, right? Because it's not like you're going to get a home invasion if you live, in Central Park Tower or something like that, right? There's security. So there's definitely trade-offs. I understand there's not many, luxury security buildings that can meet that lifestyle of those players in, Kansas City. I mean, maybe there is, but
we're late anyway.
If you're a New York Ranger or a New York Jet, New York Yankee, you're not going to have to worry about any home invasions. I mean, think about some of the buildings where Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter have lived, 432 Park, 15 Central Park West. So there's no way. It's just like impossible. That's definitely a trade-off. So there's definitely pros to living in a condo. Vincent 23 says Hideki Matsui of the New York Yankees used to live in Trump Tower. Now, I just did a complete walking tour of Trump Tower, and somebody on the video said that I walked right past Ichiro Suzuki. And I was looking it up, I was doing some research. I think he has a unit in Trump Tower too, but I didn't even recognize him. I guess he was in town that day because he was honored with an induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, I think. I'm not too sure, but somebody commented that on my video. I went back in the video and looked, and I was like, yeah, that kind of does look like him. Ichiro, I believe. Alrighty. Brad says I watched that video but didn't catch Ichiro. Yeah, I think the commenter time-stamped it. So if you look at the timestamp, and if you go back and look, I think that's actually him. And the timelines match up, right? Because didn't he just get into the Baseball Hall of Fame, where he was an accepting some award? Oh man, that wind is brutal. Hey, what's up, Bruce from Palm Beach? I wish I was in Palm Beach right now. So that was a nice walking tour of Hudson Yards, but now that our microphone is broken, you could experience the perfect example of the freezing, wind gusts. Now, speaking of baseball and finance, one of the wealthiest sports owners ever is the owner of the New York Mets, Steve Cohen, which I think just broke a record in the baseball and sports world. What was it? Almost $1 billion contract? Ooh, Cybertruck. I think it was, a $950 million contract. Now, Steve Cohen is a multi-billionaire hedge fund manager, 0.73. Ah, that's right, DC322 Juan Soto. Anybody know the exact contract amount for that? Now, apparently, I was reading an article in the New York Post about it, And the New York Yankees were bidding like very, very, very close to that amount. But at the end of the day, Soto chose, to secure the bag, as the Gen Z youngins say these days, and went for the almost $1 billion contract. Omar says 815 million. Oof. That's crazy. I mean, God bless him. I think how old is he? I think he's only like 26 years old or 28 years old, something crazy. Double Eagle says Soto is overrated, in my opinion. Well, hopefully one day I'm as overrated as him, because I love an extra $815 million at 25 years old. Oh my God. God bless him. Alright, the wind is getting really bad now. Yeah, Doc 7. The audio is going to be horrendous for the remainder of the broadcast because my microphone died. This little thing is what makes the streams roll. But the colder it gets, it doesn't really last that long. All right, here we are at Madison Square Garden. So we toured the related Hudson Yards. Where we're going to go now is Vornado's Penn 2. Which has totally changed and transformed Penn Station. It's pretty busy, Penn Station. What is it? Like 11:30 at night? Crazy. Joanne's, the Hudson Yards is beautiful. It really is. I don't think this live stream does it justice during the winter, just because it looks so brutal outside. But in the summer, I mean, my God, the Hudson Yards is an amazing, amazing place. It's the place to be in New York in the summer. So you can see that big number 2 on the side of the building. That is the brand new Penn 2 project. Another Class A office tower, and Major League Soccer, the MLS, just signed a 126,000 square foot lease in the building. And as you know, for any New Yorkers in the chat, Penn Station has historically been, an absolute nightmare in terms of the drug use, an entire homeless encampment. So to have this change here, I mean, look at this. You got a Lifetime Fitness in the brand new building. You have pickleball. I mean, it's 11 o'clock at night and people are playing pickleball at Penn Station. If you were to have told somebody 10 years ago in Penn Station that there'd be, yuppies here playing pickleball at 11:30 at night, they'd be like, "You're crazy." And you'll see why in a minute as we go down into the depths of the underworld. PG80, thank you so much for your very kind $5 donation. Says, thanks for putting yourself out there in this weather, Tom. Truly appreciate you to bring New York City to us. Thank you so much. But I mean, seriously, I mean, for anybody who's been to Penn Station throughout their life, don't you agree that this is just an unbelievable, radical, beautiful change here? All brand new outdoor landscaping, all brand new entrance to Madison Square Garden, all brand new entrance to the Long Island Railroad and the subway. It's just really super impressive. All right, let's watch this point. Oh. Oh, nice. It is pretty unique though. This looks fun. All right, moving on with the tour. Here you have all new retail and restaurant space. Brand new gelato place. This is Penn East, by the way. More outdoor dining. Pizza shop. You have a Los Tacos. And this used to be a street. What a lot of people don't realize is that this used to be 33rd Street. So look at how much better the city is when we prioritize pedestrians, right? When we prioritize people who actually utilize the city most. You know, people can congregate here, spend time outside, you know, have lunch or dinner here with their coworkers and colleagues and family members. It's just so much better when this isn't, you know, a traffic-filled street with, you know, cars and taxi cabs clanging and banging around all over the place. Over here, this is the entrance to the 1 train. 1, 2, and 3 train, brand new entrance, brand new elevator for handicapped individuals. And they've expanded the sidewalk. So you have this huge sidewalk here. New entrance to Madison Square Garden. It just looks completely different. And this is the new entrance to Penn. Hey, what's up, John? Says, love Hudson Yards. I walk it during every New York City visit. The High Line was crazy, jam-packed with tourists last time I visited in September. Yeah, that's true. The High Line has really become a beast of its own. And it's really become increasingly popular because there's been a lot of new development condominiums that overlook the High Line. I'd say most famously, now if you were here in September and you were walking the High Line, you probably noticed a building that had like a very interesting looking facade called Lantern House. That was one of the best-selling buildings over the High Line, but also the Zaha Hadid building is very unique. I want to say Corcoran Sunshine ran sales on that building, but yeah, that's an awesome spot. Hey, Michael. Hey, Tom, it's Michael Welsh. Oh, what's going on, dude? I think the last time we spoke, you bought a place in Puerto Rico, was it?
Yo,
hopefully you're enjoying it.
Yo!
All right, check this out, everybody. If the last time you've been into Penn Station was roughly, let's say, more than 3 years ago, this is going to look completely different to you. Penn Station, the old Penn Station, used to be an absolute horror show. Low ceiling heights, you know, homeless encampment, you know, people popping themselves with heroin. And now it is expansive ceiling heights, increased retail. You have a Dos Toros here, Shake Shack, Raising Cane's, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Dwayne Reed, which is now Walgreens. If you go back here, you're gonna have a Dunkin' Donuts. So for some context here, if you look at this drop head of the 1, 2, and 3 train, this is how the ceiling heights used to be throughout the whole entire Penn Station. So you can only imagine how claustrophobic it was in here and how dark. The air quality was also horrendous. This is a complete 180 of what it used to be. If you walk a little bit over to the left, where the Long Island Railroad tracks are, you can also see here. So imagine just this, right? This is the height of the ceiling, what it used to be all throughout, and they've since expanded it. Additionally, one thing I've noticed that the Long Island Railroad has been doing is they start to check your tickets before you even enter the tracks now. And I think they're doing that because there's been an increase in fare evasion. You've had a lot of people jumping on the Long Island Railroad at Penn Station, hiding in the bathrooms or just saying, hey, I don't have my ticket, getting off at Jamaica or Woodside. So they're starting to check the tickets now before you even go down into the tracks, which is something they've been, but now they're starting to check them before you even go on. I would take you guys on a more in-depth walk, but if we pass Shake Shack, there's no internet service, so I don't think we'll be able to walk down there, but it looks pretty good, right? I mean, if we're being honest, this looks pretty amazing. And they blew this hole in the ceiling to make this entrance, which is quite nice. So right as we go up this escalator, you have this really unique view of the Empire State Building. Have this really, really nice shot of the Empire here. I know, Joanne says Penn Station is so different and beautiful since the last time I was there many, many years ago. Trust me, I know all too well. It's it almost does, it's unrecognizable. And honestly, if you think about it, right, and this has been my argument about Penn Station for many years, chances are if you're an international tourist, one of the first places that you see in Manhattan is Penn Station. Because you land at Kennedy International Airport, you take the air train from JFK to Jamaica, you take the Long Island Railroad from Jamaica Station to Penn Station, and if the first thing that you see is a dilapidated, dark and gross train station, that's not going to be a good first impression on the city or on the U.S. But this is now a very, very good first impression. This empty lot, this used to be the Pennsylvania Hotel, and now it is demolished, so you have these really good views of the Empire State Building too. I've been seeing these advertisements for this company Skims all over the place. I was doing some research. Skims is Kim Kardashian's clothing company, and tying this back into real estate, she made an amazing real estate play. The old Versace headquarters on Fifth Avenue, which was their flagship store. Skims is now in that building. So it's like prime Fifth Avenue real estate. We're gonna be inside in like 1 minute.
Well, then you won't come.
Now we're headed back north on 34th Street. Shane, thank you so much for your $2 donation. Yeah, you're right. That little red spire there is the H&M building. Thank you for your support. All right, let's walk a little bit faster, and I think we'll be able to make this light. We might as well blast right up 7th Avenue, might as well. But what do you guys think? What are your honest thoughts of Related's, Hudson Yards, and Vornado's Penn Station? Two of the biggest developers in New York. Vornado, obviously, CEO is Steve Roth. Ticker symbol, it's publicly traded company VNO, which has been really outperforming. Related is Steve Ross. And he's going to be a big builder now in Miami, doing some cool projects with our friends over at Citadel, Ken Griffin, right off of Brickell Avenue. It's going to be a monster of a building, too. And obviously, Vornado is a huge commercial real estate giant. Right, oh, oof, that guy almost fell right over on me. Office and real estate, or office and retail, I should say. But in the residential world, they're most famously known for 220 Central Park South, which is the most sought-after building on New York City's Billionaires Row. And I've told the story a million times about the battle between Gary Barnett, who's the CEO and founder of Extel, and Steve Roth, CEO of Vornado, about their air rights and assemblage battle to build those two buildings. Hey, JC, thank you so much for your 100 ZAR donations. Grab a warm drink. Thank you so much, my friend. Hopefully we'll be ringing in $110,000 Bitcoin sooner rather than later. And I know you are definitely positioned accordingly for that move, as am I. I always start the stream uptown, so we always walk downtown. We never really walk uptown. It's a different perspective. The city almost looks completely different walking uptown than downtown. Would you agree? Because you guys are always seeing 6th Avenue coming south to Macy's, as opposed to, 6th and 7th Avenue headed north towards Central Park. I know, 10 red buff. This is that wind is roaring. Yeah, so the microphone died, unfortunately, and now you guys will have to endure the full force of the wind but it gives you a good perspective of just how windy it is out tonight. It's crazy. It's worse than the Hudson Yards, but I'm dressed accordingly, so it's not that bad. It is what it is. It takes me about 2 days to get acclimated to the freezing cold in New York after coming back from Miami, and then I just kind of power through it. It is what it is. I can't stand the cold, but whatever. I gotta endure. This pizza shop is phenomenal. It's called Made in New York. The original location is on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, I think on 80th Street. This is an awesome spot. Oh, it'll tell you the locations right here. I would argue this is one of the best slices of pizza in the city. 512 7th Avenue, 421 Amsterdam, I think is the one I go to. 271 Amsterdam, I think, is on 72nd Street. And then 561 Hudson Street. I don't think I've ever been to that. It's downtown. There's a lot of people coming from Times Square, though. This place is in South Beach, Miami. I think the location is right across from the Ritz-Carlton, South Beach. It's a good little Italian spot. Hey, Ben York, thank you so much for your very generous and kind $10 donation. Appreciate the support. Wow. Look at this guy all the way down in that pit there. I always say this, but I have the utmost respect for construction workers in the city because it is freezing cold tonight. The wind is howling, and these guys are down there, literally down there, making it happen. So super, super respect for construction workers. I always tell this story. At my old office, we were on a high floor, and this is when we had a neighboring building just being constructed. And I remember it was the dead of winter. It was like a wintry mix, sleet, snow, hail, you name it, with whipping winds. And, you know, I'm sitting in my office, like my little cubicle, you know, just making cold calls or whatever, just doing some work. And I see these iron workers hanging off the side of this building, you know, with these huge steel I-beams, these connector beams, trying to hammer them together when the wind is whipping, and it's freezing, and it's raining, and it's snowing. And I'm like, I will never complain about my job ever again. You know, when you put into perspective, you know, my job may be stressful, but at the end of the day, I am in a heated office building with great views of the city, and all I have to do is make a few phone calls to make a living. Yeah, I will not complain ever again. I mean, those guys are doing real work. Like, my job is not a real job compared to what those guys do. Shane, thank you so much for your $2 donation. Yes, the H&M building is coming up right here on the right. can see one Times Square. Check this out. So that little pole up there is where they dropped the ball on New Year's Eve. But I think 2024 into 2025 was the last New Year's that they're going to be dropping the ball. I think they're going to be doing something new for next year. And then here's the H&M building. We're now at Times Square, 42nd Street.
There was an Olaf thing that was bigger.
Appears the wind has died down a little bit up here, at least as we've been walking north. Shane, thank you again. I appreciate your support very, very much. Hope you're having a good week. Tomorrow's Friday, love that. Glenda says, I watch the New Year's ball drop every year on TV. What are they going to do? I'm honestly not too sure what they're going to do now. They're going to do some sort of celebration, but what I've heard is they've retired the ball and they're going to put it in a museum for tourists to go and check out. And they have yet to announce what the new thing is going to be. It may be a ball, maybe a different ball, but the one that they dropped this year is going to be taken down, put in a museum. So I honestly have no idea what they're going to do. It's the Hard Rock. Busy tonight. Hang with Mark Moms is my guess. There'll be a new ball. New York City will lose a ton of tourist money if they don't replace it. That's true. They'll probably do something way cooler. Maybe it'll be like, I don't know. Maybe it'll be an interesting drone display or something. Or just like, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Shane says the Empire Spire is visible to your right. I think if we keep walking a little bit further north, it would be. But thank you again, Shane. Appreciate it. I'll zoom in on the 2025 numerals. What's super impressive is what they do in China, those drone shows. Happy Lunar New Year, everybody. So you can see the 2025 numerals right on top of One Times Square. Here you have ABC News, and then you also have the NASDAQ. All right, everyone. That was a fun stream. Very real estate focused, but I find the real estate business very interesting. So if you guys enjoyed that live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new, because we do these live streams every single night, usually starting at 8:45. If you would like to join us tomorrow night, be sure to tune in at 8:45. And we will see you tomorrow. So thanks for joining, everybody. Be safe. God bless. And once again, kind of as we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who is affected by the terrible tragedy in DC regarding the American Airlines flight. So Bruce, Mohammed, Hang with Mark Mom, Patrick New York, Daniel J, Sue Rollins, Chris, Mario, David, Jen, Jack, Chloe, Sally, all of our moderators, Top Cat. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.